Hello everyone. All right, we have Temoa installed as a CLI application, and now I want to show you how to set up a run. So using the same command I had last time, we want to run Temoa as a module. So it's going to be python-m Temoa, and you can see I get a list of options as well as different commands. Going through the options, these are flags that you can specify from the command line. So for example, if I do -- version, it's going to show me what version of Temoa I'm running. How to cite, that flag will tell you the citation information for Temoa in case you want to reference it in a paper. The next two commands allow for tab completion from the command line. The first command, install-completion, that flag is going to allow you to enable tab completion, and then the second flag is going to allow you to use completion from the command line once it is installed. If you're running a lot of Temoa related commands from the command line, having this tab completion is going to be really helpful. And then finally, -- help will always take you back to this menu to see, again, all of the options and commands. As far as the commands go, you can see that there's a validate command. This is basically just going to build the model instance without running it. So if you're in a debugging mode and you're not really interested in the results just yet, you just want to make sure that the model is set up correctly, you can run the validate command. If you want to actually run and solve the model, then we're going to use the run command. There's a check units command. This will look at the units that are specified in your input database and ensure that you have consistent units being tracked across the various database tables. There's a migrate command, so if you have a Temoa database file that's in version 3.1 and you want to convert that to version 4, we have a command that allows you to do that. And then finally, we have a tutorial command. This sets up a configuration file as well as a database file that can help you get started. And that's what I actually want to try here. So again, I'm going to say python-m Temoa, and then I'm going to specify that command tutorial. You can see I get a message here. It's created this configuration file. It's a TOML file called tutorial_config. And then it's also given me a database file, tutorial_database. So if I look and see what I have now in my directory, you might remember that the directory was empty aside from the virtual environment folder. And now you can see those two files have been populated within my Temoa directory. The first thing I want to do is take a look at the config file, and I'm going to use VS Code to do that. I'm going to launch it from the shell here. Okay, and the configuration for a model run is specified in a TOML file. This is a well-structured file that tells Temoa how you want to run the model. There are a lot of different options here. I'm not going to go through them in detail, but I do want to note that it's broken down into sections. So we have a section that specifies the basic configuration. So for example, what do you want to name the output scenario? How do you want to run the model? Do you want to run it perfect foresight where we're solving all time periods simultaneously, or do you want to run it myopically where you're only solving one time period at a time? There's database configuration options. So this allows you, for example, to visualize outputs or to perform various checks. This is where we're specifying the solver. This is where we're specifying the various different outputs that we might want. And then here in the model parameter section, we're specifying various ways in which we might want to run the model, which features we want to make use of. And then this mode options is focused on options that you would want to set if you're running different types of sensitivity and uncertainty analysis. If you're just getting started, you can leave all of these on their defaults and just run the model. Now, the other thing that I want to show you is if I go back to the command line, it also created a SQLite file, which is our input database. And I want to show you what that looks like. I find that it's very helpful to have a piece of software that provides a GUI that allows you to look at what's actually in the database. I happen to like using DB Browser for SQLite. It's a free tool. Again, it allows you to see what's in the database. I have this open. So this is our tutorial database. For those that have been modeling for a long time, this tutorial database is actually based on the Utopia database, which has been around forever, and it used to be packaged with the Markel model. If you're on the database structure tab, you can see a list of all of the various tables that are included within the database schema associated with Temoa. If I were to pick a particular table, for example, the investment cost table, you can see these are all of the columns within that particular table. So this gives you an idea of how the tables are structured. And then if you actually want to see what data is in the database, you can go to Browse Data and then again pick a particular table. For example, maybe I want to look at end-use demands, and you can see here how the data is specified. So for demands, I have a region column. There's only one region in this very simple database. It's called Utopia. There are different time periods. There are different demand commodities. And then these are the actual values for those end-use demands. And then the units, they're all specified in petajoules. So again, if you're just getting started, it's worth perusing this tutorial database just to see what all is in here. You can see that there are a lot of tables. And for this very simple database, many of these tables are going to remain empty because we don't need to specify many of the advanced features. And then the final thing I'll point out is you can see that we have all of these output underscore tables. This is where the model results will go. So once you complete a run, these tables will be populated with the results. Hopefully this helps you understand the setup for a Temoa run. Again, we have the TOML file where we're specifying all of the options for a particular model run, and then we have the input database. This is the database, the input data on which the Temoa model is going to operate. In the next video, I will show you how to run the model and how to look at the results.